Was he a hero, a genius, or the most dangerous man in Europe? One man, standing against the currents of history, whose ambition would redraw the map of a continent and whose shadow lingers to this day. This is the story of Napoleon Bonaparte, the man whose ambition changed Europe forever. Our story begins not in the gilded halls of Paris, but on the rugged island of Corsica, a place of fierce loyalties and ancient traditions. Born Napoleon di Bonaparte in 1769, he was an outsider, a boy with a strange accent and a burning desire to prove himself. The turmoil of the French Revolution provided his stage. While France was tearing itself apart, this young, ambitious officer saw not chaos, but opportunity. His exceptional talent for artillery and strategy first shone at the siege of Toulon. At just 24 years old, he displayed a military brilliance that turned heads across the nation. He was a man made for the moment, and his ascent had just begun. From the sun-scorched battlefields of Italy to the sands of Egypt, Napoleon's name became synonymous with victory. His campaigns were masterpieces of speed and audacity. He didn't just win battles, he crafted legends. Returning to a politically unstable France, his ambition shifted from the military to the political arena. He saw a power vacuum and seized it. Through the coup of 18 Brumaire, he became first consul, effectively the ruler of France. But this was not enough. In 1804, in a spectacular ceremony at Notre Dame Cathedral, he took the crown from the Pope's hands and placed it upon his own head. Napoleon Bonaparte was now Napoleon I, Emperor of the French Guiana. What made Napoleon a military genius? It wasn't just courage, it was a revolution in warfare. The Napoleonic tactics were a symphony of speed, precision, and overwhelming force. He mastered the art of moving his armies faster than his enemies could ever anticipate. He would concentrate his forces at a single, decisive point, shattering the enemy line before they even knew what hit them. His famous flanking maneuvers and pincer movements became the stuff of military legend, studied in academies for centuries to come. His instrument was the Grande Armée, the largest and most formidable fighting force in Europe. It was more than an army, it was a nation on the march, fueled by revolutionary zeal and an unwavering loyalty to their emperor. Napoleon knew his soldiers by name, he shared their hardships, and in return, they would follow him to the ends of the earth. With the Grande Armée at his command, Napoleon carved out an empire that stretched from the shores of Portugal to the plains of Poland. Kings and emperors bowed before him. He redrew the map of Europe, installing his family and loyal marshals on the thrones of conquered nations. He forged alliances, broke treaties, and engaged in a constant chess match of diplomacy and warfare. But his very success planted the seeds of his downfall. The presence of French soldiers and administrators across the continent ignited a powerful new force: nationalism. Peoples who had been subjects of ancient monarchies began to see themselves as Germans, Spaniards, and Italians, united in their opposition to French domination. The spirit of revolution he had once championed now turned against him. The beginning of the end came in 1812. Obsessed with defeating his last major rival, Tsar Alexander I, Napoleon led his Grande Armée into the vast, unforgiving expanse of Russia. It was a catastrophic miscalculation. The Russians refused to give a decisive battle, instead retreating deeper and deeper, burning the earth behind them. Napoleon captured a deserted and burning Moscow, but it was a hollow victory. The brutal Russian winter descended, and the retreat became one of the greatest disasters in military history. Starvation, frostbite, and relentless Cossack raids decimated the once invincible army. Napoleon returned to France with only a fraction of the men he had left with. The myth of his invincibility was shattered. Seeing his weakness, the nations of Europe formed a grand coalition against him. At the titanic Battle of Leipzig, the Battle of the Nations, he was decisively defeated. Forced to abdicate, he was exiled to the small island of Elba. For the world, the Napoleonic era seemed to be over, but the story wasn't finished. In a move of breathtaking audacity, Napoleon escaped from Elba, landed in France, and began his march to Paris. The troops sent to arrest him instead flocked to his banner, shouting "Vive l'Empereur!" He reclaimed his throne without a single shot being fired. Europe was stunned. His enemies, however, quickly reassembled their armies. The final confrontation came on a rain-soaked field in modern-day Belgium, at a place called Waterloo. For one long, brutal day, the fate of Europe hung in the balance. A series of tactical gambles and miscommunications, combined with the timely arrival of the Prussian army, sealed Napoleon's fate. The Grande Armée was broken. The 100 days were over. The emperor's final gamble had failed. This time, his exile would be to the remote and windswept island of St. Helena in the middle of the Atlantic, where he would spend the rest of his days a prisoner of the sea. Napoleon lost his empire. He died in exile. His grand ambitions seemingly turned to dust. But his legacy is far more enduring than any border he drew on a map. The Napoleonic Code, his comprehensive system of civil laws, became the foundation of modern legal systems across the world, championing principles of equality and merit. He was an autocrat, yet he paradoxically spread the ideals of the French Revolution of liberty, equality, and fraternity wherever his armies marched. He consolidated the patchwork states of Germany and Italy, inadvertently paving the way for their eventual unification. If you enjoyed this journey into the past, please share, like, and subscribe to Digital Time Vault for more deep dives into history. Thank you for watching.